Microsoft, go eat an entire satchel of Richards for getting rid of Skype and not transferring all of its features to Teams. That's number
Correct.
one. And a big tip of the cap with all of the sarcasm,
Sarcastic.
like with all the sarcasm I can actually muster, to Streamlabs for your collab cam and your tech support getting us like 80% of the way there. The other 20% was massively infuriating. But
Yeah.
we are here. We are here. Greg is once again here. I am no longer fighting a migraine, although my one good thing about all this moving around and being frustrated and stuff is my back seems to have loosened up because that was potentially an issue earlier. To anyone who's watching, what have you, I apologize if Greg sounds like he's in an empty warehouse. Couldn't quite figure that part out, but we're live. And
We are.
that is a small victory in and of itself.
Yes. And it's great. It's great to be here, even though I'm probably sounding like I'm in some sort of large cave system. But that's okay. We'll figure that out for next week.
Doug will tell us how the audio is. He is our resident audiophile.
That's correct.
Greg,
That would be the best thing. Yes,
you are here.
I am. I am here. I'm good.
How are you, my friend?
I'm wonderful. I'm doing great. Things are good. I felt like absolute garbage yesterday and this morning, but I'm actually feeling a lot better. And I owe it to Airborne, Advil cold and sinus, and immunity shots, which is great.
And one of Coca-Cola's original ingredients.
No, not so much that. You might think so, but no, that I am not
Nose torque.
on. I do like that you're drinking a Red Bull at 9:30 p.m. at night. That is actually that is a legendary move.
It won't have hardly any. It won't. Let me put it this way. The reason I go to bed at the time I will eventually go to bed tonight will have nothing to do with this. I just didn't want to be sitting here for however long the show goes for today
Yeah.
and get a case of the yawns. That's it. But in our family, like caffeine will pick us up in the morning, help us go, all that other sort of fun stuff. But it absolutely, like, my mom is famous for being at like you know how like you drink a warm beverage, it helps you go to sleep. Well, her warm beverage of choice is usually fucking coffee.
Yes. Yes, some warm milk will help me go to sleep. No, give me scalding hot black coffee. Oh man. I used to be like that. Now Red Bulls will definitely keep me up. I used to be able to drink like 3 coffees right before bed and just be like and immediately pass out. Now not so much.
Oh my goodness. We have
Yeah.
stuff to talk about today, don't we?
I think so. Do we?
I don't know. You sent me a list of things that can only be described as interest.
Yes, let me go to said list on my phone since I'm streaming from my computer. And you know what I'm really bummed about? I have to use my personal computer as my work laptop now. They didn't send me a work laptop because when you're freelance, they don't send you a work laptop. When you're full time, they do. So it's all well and good. This is a great computer, but I don't have the option to just go to a second computer like next to me. It's like, oh, let me just go check this thing and then come back here. Now I just got to look like I'm busy ignoring you on my phone, which
Oh shit.
is just talking about this and blah blah blah. It doesn't look about. I think the most interesting thing is what the thumbnail is actually for today. So Slate Auto, if you don't know what this is, it's a new electric truck. And electric usually turns a lot of people off, pun extremely intended. Um, but this is an interesting one because it's backed by Amazon. It's backed by Bezos. This is the Bezos mobile. And it aims to give you like basically a cheap electric truck, single cab, bed. Think Ford Maverick like size, maybe a touch smaller, like small, usable, utilitarian truck. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, and it's basically modular. You can kind of do what you want with it. You get the basics for cheap, and then you can add things like stereo and speakers. I think you had told me you actually read more into it than I did, but you can add like an infotainment system. It doesn't come with one. Basically, your phone is the infotainment system as the base value, and then you can add one if you want with like the bells and whistles. But anyway, you can like make this thing your own, whether you have it initially or over time. The interesting thing here is that it crossed 100,000 pre-orders.
And apparently Doug was one of them.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I can't see chat right now. That's amazing. Wow, that's interesting. One, Doug, congratulations on giving them your free money. So good job. But no, that's 100,000 is not insignificant. That is
$2 million.
That's a lot of people wanting this thing. Like, I remember like the biggest ones in recent memory doing this is obviously Tesla with the Model 3 that came out. You can basically reserve it for $100. I think the same thing was when the Model Y or Model X came out. It was like $1,000. Same thing with the Cybertruck. But this one, this isn't Tesla. This doesn't have sort of a cult following behind it and products that, have been tested for years. Not long, but, years. This is a brand new thing. And to cross 100,000 for this brand new thing, there's market for it. That's pretty big in my opinion. What do you think? You are muted and I can't hear you.
I was reading something from tech support and they were like, well, I can't help you with that issue. How are these sounds on your alerts? I don't care. We literally had a solution. Microsoft decided to be, again, a thundering bag of Richards. And I can't use what I had been using. I'm using your software. And it sounds like my buddy is on one side of the warehouse and I have no idea how to fix it because it has no audio settings. So they have 100,000 units. Doug bought one. It's not an insignificant amount of money. And then I rage focused on this tech support person.
Nice. So basically what I had said was essentially where you stopped was, this is like, it's 100,000 people looking to buy this thing, or at least potentially, this is a
theoretically
scenario.
The digital equivalent of kicking the tires.
Right, exactly. And like I was saying, the most recent company to do this was Tesla, with the Model 3, the Cybertruck, I think one of the crossovers, the Y or the X, the same thing. But like, that's a company that had backing it had not necessarily backing. It had,
it was established.
Credibility. Yeah, exactly. It was established as like a legitimate company. Slate is this brand new thing. So to cross 100,000 pre-orders for this brand new thing is quite impressive in my opinion. And then I was like, what do you think?
I think there's a bunch of factors going in. I think the idea of having a vehicle that is this level of modular is sort of what the electric car... Well, kind of everyone thought the electric car was going to go in the modern age, right? Like, they didn't expect a Tesla to come along and say, hey, this is really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one, the fact that Bezos is involved, love, hate, or whatever, indifferent to him, at least you know this. It gives the sense that this isn't going to be fly by night, um, kind of a deal, to where this
Mhm.
company's. So if you put an order in, there's even the sense that this may be um, more reliable than Tesla because, well, Tesla hasn't exactly done well with people pre-ordering things and getting them in a fashion that is in any way, shape, or form remotely resembling timely.
Yep, that's a great point.
So, am I surprised? Not really, because of just how this thing became like a social media. Uh, but I think it's a cool concept of a car. Like, I was talking with someone, and they had a $20,000 budget. I mean, granted, they were looking for a Porsche Cayman or a Boxster,
Hmm.
but it was like you could get that's where a baseline of a new car is, right? And that's
Right.
more than half of what a average new car costs. So
Yeah,
like,
right.
but like, how many times do you hear people say it's like, I don't need this, this, and this. I just want this, 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 and I'll pay for those things, but I don't want to get the, you know, Founders off-road Nürburgring G-string package just to get the better radio.
I mean, I wouldn't mind the G string package. Uh, but no, you're right. Like if this is the like, I think I think the intent of BMW doing the subscription services with their cars is sort of what this is actually executing, because instead of having everything there in the car and then charging you to use it, Slate is giving you the car and then giving you the opportunity to enhance it in a way where it's like extremely customizable. So I think it's sort of the inverse of that, where you don't get everything and then you can kind of just pick and choose and cherry pick what you want, which is great. I think it's an awesome idea. Whether that then gets adopted by everyone, remains to be seen. But it's very cool, and the amount of people that are interested in it is honestly a little surprising. I did not think it was going to be six figures, especially when pre-orders basically just opened.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like for my money, I think this is a very cool way of selling a car. Oh, chat just sort of freaked out. In the sense that you sell what you can. Basically, you buy what you can afford, or you buy what you use. I am curious though. I know like banks and things of that nature have like ways of evaluating options and things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
like in a way, um, but in a way like this is a little different because it's not a full package. Like because there's no way of saying like Joe Blow, who's like, yeah, like what's the resale, how they're gonna hold their value, things like that. I know electric cars in general are pretty shit at holding their value,
Mm-hmm.
but it's interesting to see how like because basically this is aimed at people you can get a new car, it comes with a warranty, blah blah blah. You don't have to worry about getting ripped off or from a shady used car dealer or whatever to get a car. I understand it's electric with not a ton of range, but frankly, for 99% of the population, it'll get you to and from work on a daily basis. You just got to charge it, right? So I'm interested to see where this goes. Apparently, Doug said that the reservations were only like $50.
That's pretty big.
So
I
it's
mean,
like,
$50. I mean, that's less than a video game these days. So,
thanks, Activision.
yeah, go fuck yourself, Activision. But no, like seriously, like I mean, it's literally less than a video game, and you have an opportunity to buy something that's truly unique in that sense. So I don't know. I find this to be very interesting from a market disruptor standpoint.
Right.
And I hope it succeeds in the sense that it sort of shows a lot of OEMs that you can make a skateboard and then let people customize it, and you don't have to do it um, in a way that's going to make you bankrupt.
Right.
Because that would be great. To your point of just like, get this, that, and the other thing, and you don't have to buy the Uber winter package that's $3,000 on top just to get the one thing that you wanted.
It's like, oh, you would like floor mats. Well, you're going to have to get this netting in the back, this thing for the back seat, the slightly upgraded suspension with better wheels so you could fit the knobblier tires, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Exactly.
I honestly, so here's the thing. I see it for certain things being great. And honestly, I do think that at some point they're going to start adding packages and things of that nature to it just because a la carte for what technically the amount of customization you can have with this thing. I think they will have packages and then you sort of can pick and choose what you want off of the package as opposed to sitting here. Because, like, imagine sitting here, like, when you go to the grocery store without a list, right?
Right.
And you're there and you're like, ooh, I need this, I need this, I need this. Oh, I don't think we needed this, but I'm grabbing this, like, and then you get back and the wife's like, hey, did you get the eggs? Fuck.
Right.
Now,
Right.
from what I understand, it's modular, so it's not that difficult to add stuff onto it, which I think is really, really cool, right?
Agree. Like that to me,
Yeah.
that's the biggest selling point.
Right? Like, because, like, you have kids, say the first one gets a driver's license, you're like, okay, well, we're gonna give you this, right? It's cheaper than, say, a lot of used cars out there. We're gonna get it in low power mode. We're gonna have it with parent mode, so we know where you are at all times or where the car is, and we could see how fast, like, all this stuff. And it's like, oh, congratulations, Gregson Jr. You've graduated college. Your college present is, how about a stereo? How about, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like,
Like I think that I mean, to me, like I said, I think that's the big selling point. I think a lot of people are just focusing on this is an affordable, cheap electric truck, and that's true. But we have cheap electric cars that they're not all $70,000, $80,000. You can get a 1 or 2 year removed from production electric car for basically half the price of when it was initially on dealer lots.
Porsche
Anthony's-
Taycans are hilarious.
Yeah, I
price
mean,
for them.
Anthony got his XC40 recharge for literally half off MSRP,
Yeah.
and it was like a 2-year-old car, and it worked perfectly. So like, there's that. I think the modular aspect is going to be the biggest thing because that literally doesn't exist. That doesn't exist in the car world for consumers. You cannot do it.
Right. I mean, and that sort of thing for consumers hasn't really existed anywhere in
Right,
anything.
exactly.
I guess, what is it? I want to say it's Sling for TV, where you can sit here and go, I want that channel, I want that channel, don't need that channel, need this like blah, 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 right? Like, I've been after for
Right.
years, like, look, here are the 3 channels we want that we actually watch. For me, it's the ESPNs, it's SNY, it's Yes, and my mom has 2 channels she watches that have her, like, basically all day, 24/7. It's like procedural cop shows. So, like, there's like the British one, there's like a day where it's all like British stuff, then it's like a day of like the NCIS is like what have you, right?
Yeah.
But like, I don't watch the NBA network or I don't even really watch like TNT, TBS, like any
Right.
of that sort of stuff, But because cable TV is dying and they just haven't accepted that and tried to be creative to keep their customers as opposed to, hey, more money, please. Am I getting anything more?
Right.
No, you're actually getting less, but it's going to cost you more. Like, if, in all
They're
honesty,
big greedy companies and they don't care.
well, they don't care, but like if you look at like say a Comcast or Xfinity or whatever you want to, the fuck they want to be called these days. Their subscriber base is dwindling at a significant percentage every single year. So again, instead of being creative and saying, okay, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing this, they're going to Netflix, they're doing this. Okay, well, it costs how much to have Netflix with no ads? How much to have like the Disney or the Disney Suite, Disney Hulu, ESPN Plus? How much does it have to have like a Max or whatever, right? Like say like you have 6 streaming platforms. They could easily sit here and say, stay with us. We'll give you this a la carte package. Stage 1 gives you 2 streaming series. Stage 2 gives you 4, right? And it's all part of your pricing. But it ends up being, in a way, less expensive than having, say, cable and the streaming services. But no, Comcast is like, what's our DiMaggio-like streak of having the worst customer service of any Fortune 500 company in the country? 20 years? Let's make it a quarter century. Like it's just, and like I think there's in the automotive space to kind of circle back to that. YouTube likes higher keyframes. Good to know.
Thank you, YouTube.
Yeah. But to come back to like a car thing, I think that's what BMW thought the subscription service stuff was going to be. But people are like, that's like paying a subscription service for your TV, not cable, not any of that, but literally for your TV to turn on. It's like, I have the motherfucker, turn it on, or I'm going to start lobbing Molotov cocktails at your house.
Right.
And I guess there's like economies of scale. Doug was saying something specific to Slate. He goes, it's all accessories, so the cost of them is better than normal car options that come in packages for cost reasons. So like, I mean, let's be honest, right? If you want, I think if they are successful with this, it could really shake up how you go about buying stuff on cars. Or it'll have no effect and it'll just be sort of their thing and that'll be an end of it. I get
right.
It's like one of those things, right? No, I think, like I said, I'm not a big EV guy. I would consider one of these things because I think it's a cool idea. And like, if you get like a range extender, get a couple features here and there, I think it's a cool little like inexpensive way to have a economical commuter, a vehicle that can make the Home Depot run on the weekends, right? And let's face it, most people aren't traveling 100 miles one way to go to Home Depot, or at least the people who are actually going to care.
Right.
So it's like there's a lot of things that like, and they're not trying to sit here and say like reinvent the wheel, or they're not trying to ram it down their throat. They're like, this is what we are. If you want it, great. If you don't, we don't give a crap. Right,
exactly.
And I think that is arguably like one of the freshest electric car takes that we've gotten in a very long time.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it's good. I think it's good on multiple levels. Like I said, with the modular effect, as well as sort of stoking the EV side of the market.
Kind of refreshing the take on EVs, right? Instead of saying we are replacing internal combustion, it's like, well, we can exist side by side.
Right, and I think that's very, very cool. And what it should be, it shouldn't. Not everything should be EVs. EVs aren't the be-all, end-all. They're not going to save the planet. It will. Probably hydrogen power. Like, it's going to be an evolving thing over time with how we get around. So, like, let's coexist in that sense until something rises to the top that's actually going to appease everyone and actually going to save the planet. EVs aren't it. I can't see chat. So what is happening in chat?
Open Facebook.
What are people saying?
Open Facebook, go on the chat and look at it.
I refuse.
Mark Anthony is deciding to be a renegade and sleep in his XC40 Palisade. I have no idea what the fuck they're called. At Carlisle this year.
Nice.
Tooth in M9 Pace says Slate will probably make more money from like services. I mean, it is kind of an interesting idea of, you know, in a way they're the OEM, but in another way they are the aftermarket. And what if like accessories for this thing almost becomes like apps in the Apple App Store, right? Like you put an app in the Apple App Store and it costs XYZ, Apple gets a cut of it, right?
Right.
And they have certified developers and stuff like that. Like possibilities for this sort of stuff is pretty endless. And like imagine like when I put shit on my Mustang, which God willing is fixed on Friday, right? Like the headers, Ford didn't get a cut of that,
Right.
you know. But Slate is in a place where they could sit here and have authorized accessories or whatever. They don't have to do any R&D other than vet the product when it's done to make sure it works and isn't made of asbestos and, you know, all that fun stuff.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, you want the, you know, Call of Duty door panels? Clip, there they are. You want, you know, a better speaker? Well, instead of them going out and developing a specific speaker for their platform, they could have, I'm not saying JBL's involved in any other way, but like JBL's like, hey, the new Slate Bassmaster 5000, you know, put some thump in that trunk or like whatever, right? It's like, okay, you go do all the research and development. We're going to take 10%. You know, like,
Right.
I think there's just the possibilities are endless. And I just hope it's A, managed correctly. B, it's not like a scam. Doesn't appear to be, but like I do when I see these pop up sort of EV car companies or even internal combustion companies, but like specifically with the EVs, since it's so much easier to make an EV than it is to make a internal combustion car, because you need a battery and some electric motors. You don't really need a transmission. You don't need to buy engines from Ford or Chevy or Daewoo or whatever.
You just got killed by a Daewoo Lanos, motherfucker.
Oh, the Seth Rogen operator in Call of Duty right now is arguably one of the most annoying things because he has a voice line for everything. And even if you are not using that operator, you can still hear your teammates with it. It is infuriating.
Oh my gosh.
You know, so like, but it's like, I get the sense with a lot of these startups, you know, and kudos to them for not being like every other one. It's like, Rimac, what's your first EV? Supercar. Like, you know, like just a car for the masses, right? But like with these startups, I always get, there's a small part of me that thinks like, are they legit or is this like a meme coin? Right? Like, is this like, you know,
Right.
is this going to end up, you know, they're going to have the deposits. There's something on the deposit that's like, this is no guarantee that you will get a car or a refund. And they've just did a $20 million cash grab or something. Right? Like,
Yeah, that's, I mean, $20 million.
but it has, but the thing is, because Bezos is attached to it, it's like, well, we know where to go for the class action suit, right? It's not like, you know, Ling Tao or a Nigerian prince or someone in, you know, upper Uganda where
Right.
you will never ever know who that person was.
Right. I mean, it sounds like, I mean, look, $20 million, a lot of money to a normal person. $20 million is literally the toilet paper that Jeff Bezos wipes his butt with. So, like, this is not like a free loan for Bezos and Amazon. Like, they can kind of just.
Was he a full
do
owner? Is
this.
it his project or is he like a majority stakeholder?
I'm not sure of. I haven't read that deep into it as to like who the exact like money makers are here or the venture capitalists are here. But I mean, it's Bezos backed. I don't think it's owned by Amazon per se. Chad is going to. Excuse me. Chad is going to look this up right now. So we.
Oh no, I'm replying to Steve. Might as well just since I mentioned it. Steve, thanks for watching, man. Appreciate you. If the merch alerts were working, I would have blasted that on stream when you popped in. Now it just sort of looks like a mess. But Steve bought a couple shirts and stuff, so thank you so much for that. Steve, have a good one. Get some rest, and we'll talk soon, man. Um, just real quick, who am I? What am I looking up? Who owns Slate?
Yeah.
Nope. That's what is it? Slate Motors.
Yep.
Investors include Jeff Bezos, Mark Walter, and Thomas Tull. I mean, we're not talking about poor people, but
Yeah. No.
no. But what I'm saying is that in other cases, when I see something pop up, and it's like, what was that? Donut did something with it, I think, but it was that dirt cheap Chinese EV pickup truck,
Oh, I
right?
don't know
Like
what
when
it
I
is,
see
but
something
yeah, I
like
know what you're
that,
talking about.
I'm like, okay, it's sort of legit. They had one of the biggest YouTube channels do something with it, and then it just sort of disappeared, right? Like
Hmm.
that's the biggest thing. In all honesty, I think if they play this right, a larger manufacturer will eventually come and grab them.
Yeah.
I know that was originally said about Tesla, but I don't know if Bezos and all these other guys are quite Elon enough. You know what I mean? Just that much
Yeah.
of an eccentric.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Uh, Wheels and Whiskey goes over on YouTube. I'm gonna get one and Tesla swap it. I mean, I feel like the easier swap would be just to go to EV West and get a bigger motor.
That's really funny though. I'm gonna Tesla swap this really cheap truck.
And then Tooth over on YouTube also goes, I'm going to 1.8 Ecotech swap it. Doug, I figure it's a better shot than Elio. Well, less likely to end up being just a rectangular pizza. But that $50 is a small risk to take too. I mean, yeah, it's a relatively small risk to you. And again, the people behind it are legit. You don't really have to go far to find them and everything. It's interesting, and like the reason I'm partially excited to see what happens with them is because of how legit it seems. And again, because they're sort of revolutionizing automotive thought or just how you go about buying a car, which I'm all for. Tesla tried to do it with their not dealers, which are dealers, just not in the conventional sense. And then Sean goes, the CIA knows who those mystery people are and have a slicey rocket if they want to use it.
What?
That's an excellent response to whatever Sean. Sean, I don't speak West Virginian Inglés, por favor. Tooth goes, the Chinese EV was the Changli 2020. It was 2K on Alibaba. Sounds familiar. It was a while ago. Like I remember seeing it was cheap, and being like, "Yo, Greg, buy this as your daily as a joke." And then it sort of disappeared, and I stopped paying attention to it. But yeah, that was some excellent news, and I believe Greg has more.
Yes, because it's good to parlay EV news into other EV news because this one's sort of hilarious and also underlines a ridiculously horrible issue with technology in cars, specifically Teslas. Apparently, there was I just saw your message, Chad. Outstanding. I like it. We're gonna just enhance the echo next time. So apparently, there was a Cybertruck owner that brought his Cybertruck in for service. Basically, and I'm gonna read this on my phone. So sorry if it looks like I'm ignoring you for a hot second. But basically, a Cybertruck owner from Oregon took his Cybertruck in for a minor service visit. Found bought hit The owner bought his Foundation Series Cybertruck 5 months ago and has already put over 26,000 miles on it. That's a lot of mileage. in 5 months. But what happened was he took it to the service center to have the off-road light bar installed and fix some minor panel gap inconsistencies. Mentioned that he received an ABS alert and requested Tesla take a look at it. So pretty normal service, right?
Tesla things.
Yeah, you wanted a light bar for your Cybertruck. You know, there's panel gap stuff going on. Just your typical Tesla thing. Oh, and an ABS fault. Cool. All very good reasons to bring your truck in for service. When he got it back, his odometer read 0 miles.
Trade it in and get a fuck ton of money.
Yeah, I mean, honestly. So here's what happened. Apparently,
so Tesla's doing factory supported odometer rollbacks. I'm here for it.
Well, that's the thing I wanted to highlight. It's not so much the Tesla thing, but it's more about like the modern technology thing. So apparently, this part of the Cybertruck, which controls various sensor inputs, including the ABS system, lights, doors, and so on, this is what Tesla had decided to replace: the entire left body controller on his truck, which, as it turns out, controls the odometer. So when they replaced that left body controller, whatever the hell it is, they reset his mileage to 0. So technology sometimes is good.
Ferris Bueller could have used that on this. Ferris Bueller could have used that.
Yeah, that's right. Instead of, jacking up that Rari.
I mean, yeah, let me put it to you this way.
This is so stupid. Yeah, you go. Like, what's going on here?
I mean, is it moronic, and is it something like, hey, they're what, like, they're one of the biggest they are the biggest electric vehicle manufacturer. They're a massive manufacturer in the United States. Like, all this stuff. Should they be better? Yes. Have they been? No. Is this something that shouldn't happen? Also, yes. Is it unexpected because Tesla build quality and not at all. Like, I mean, on the one hand, it's like, it's really stupid. On the other hand, that guy, he got a free 25,000 miles off the chassis. It's going to help him on resale. Like, why point it out? Like, why bring attention to it?
Yeah, I mean, one, why bring attention to it? But two, just like, it just highlights the absurdity of certain things. Tesla for sure. But like, it's an odometer. This is something that's been in a car for quite literally almost 100 years. Like, why are we reinventing stuff that just fucking works? Stop it. Stop it. It's literally the easiest thing. There are things in cars that are easy to just make work. That's one of them. Don't put it in a body control module. Put it as like a little control module behind the dash that runs 3 things. 1, 2, 3. Like your heads-up display,
or
your digital dash, and your whatever.
Or you
don't
have
make it a part of a giant body controller that
well, let me put it to you,
ABS and all that shit.
Let me put it to you this way, right? Like, all right, if you have one module that can control all of that, fine. Have a setting to where, because that body control module has to be programmed to the car itself, right? It's useless without the dealer or a mechanic or a certified installer putting it in and saying, okay, you're going to communicate with this car and this VIN. Why not have a quote-unquote registry of Teslas? Comes in, you put, first thing you do when you're scanning it, when the scan tool is used the same as the sort of like programming tool or whatever you want. The computer is the same.
Yeah.
You scan. It takes the car's vitals, right? So, in addition to just running scans like any other car, it scans the odometer. It scans this. It scans all this other sort of stuff. And, it scans your preferences, right? Like your seats, your steering wheel, how you like, your customizable Tesla stuff mode. And it just sits here and it puts it over here. And then when it comes time to programming the new one, bink, done. I mean, it just seems like like, here's the bottom line, right? Like, Tesla I don't want to say has to be successful, but like, you get the impression that there's a lot of people who are like very well invested in their success. And let's be honest, the way Tesla is pushing tech in electric cars, we need a Tesla to push that technology forward, because the auto manufacturers like, oh shit, we don't have to sell electric cars, nobody's buying them. All right, well, we'll have like 3 or 4 over there, and there won't really be any sort of technological great advancement if they're not being pushed, right? That's the whole reason Tesla got successful in the first place, because they were selling electric cars that nobody looked at and said, oh, that doesn't look like an electric car. I'm sorry, it can get to 60 in how fast? Like, that, they were the disruptor, like we were talking about. They were that, like, so you almost need someone like Tesla who's doing things in an incredibly weird, different way, because the Cybertruck is using a lot of EV tech that isn't in a lot of other cars. And should they vet the technology more before they say, I don't know, make an iPhone announcement about it? Yeah. Should they make sure they can actually put this crap together without orange peel, without massive panel gaps, without shit falling off, without it being a joke as far as, like, you know, the tow hitch and everything? Yeah. But Steve Jobs didn't get rich on selling you the best, most reliable product. He got rich on selling you hype. And Elon is of the same, cut from the same cloth. Like, iPhones and Teslas are very similar to me in the way they're marketed, in the sense you don't see commercials, but they're masters at generating hype. And that's what they sell. And they have a customer base who does not give a fuck.
Right.
Like, one of our good friends, Bartis, waited, I think it was like 15 months for his Model Y, and was totally fine with it. And like, it was supposed to be 3 months.
Yeah, that's like not right. Like, as someone who's waited for a car, for my, what's it called? I waited for my WRX, and it was longer than it was anticipated, because I tried to get in for the 2013 run, and I missed that. But there was a really small run of about 10,000 units for 2014 model year, and then they ended it, and then they went to the new model that looked like a Civic with no hatchback. So I waited like about 4.5 months for that car, and that was justified because I missed the model year run.
Right,
They
but
were
up
ramping
front,
up to
did
this
they
last
tell you?
run. Yes, but yeah, they up front told me, like, hey, you, and my sales manager Clayton, who's awesome, was like, hey, we got the order in a little too late for this. You're gonna have to get a 2020 or 2014. And I was like, fine. How long is that gonna take? He's like, probably gonna take a couple of months. And I was like, cool. They were upfront. They were like, you'll probably get it in this range, and it was just really easy to understand the whole process. The two things that bother me about Tesla are, one, you don't know when the thing is coming, like, at all. You get this like window, but then there's zero communication behind it, and then that's it. And two, you give this company basically a free loan to get a product that's basically your beta testing in multiple ways, in it being not of great quality, build quality wise and technology wise too. That's like the biggest things that I really don't like about Tesla is it's a company testing out products on their consumers in real time, and that shouldn't happen. Like, it just shouldn't. Like, the Federal
Or you
Trade
should
Commission
basically
have
be
stepped in
told,
long ago.
Or you should basically be told you're part of a beta.
Correct. Which I'm sure people would be more than happy to sign off on. But the fact that they are not being told about that, that's a huge issue.
But again, it goes back to the that whole thing of where they have developed a customer who does not care. Like, you talk to most Tesla owners, and like, they're like, well, yeah, but I don't get it because it's the last word in fit and finish. I get it because it's a Tesla. It's an electric car. You know, like,
Yeah.
And again, not to use the same iPhone comparison, new iPhone would come out, it would have issues, nobody cared. like
Right.
like and it's one of those things where like this is stuff that, if, like you said, I don't know if you just said it, but you've definitely said it before. If any other OEM had these issues at the volume of which Tesla has these issues, they would be Mitsubishi or Nissan.
They would
they'd be in massive trouble.
They would be in court, and they would be in front of the federal government, basically getting raked over the coals and almost put out of business. That is what would be happening.
Right. Or the government would have stepped in and said, hey, you sold this as a functioning final product and it's not. You will pay to fix it. Or you're going to be spending some time in northern Alaska.
Right.
I just, man, I mean, it's just, but again, it's not going to change as long as the customers don't care. Right?
Right.
At the end of the day, it's like, it's all part of owning a Tesla. We are the future, and when getting to the future, there are some bumps in the road. I'm okay with it. You pesky internal combustion enthusiasts, you're living in the past, so you don't matter. Your opinion doesn't matter. I'm just going to go, oh, my door falled off. Oh, Tesla, you cheeky... But as long as they have that sort of laissez-faire attitude towards the shit that Tesla... what hurt Tesla sales the most? Was it Tesla cars or the Eloninator ruffling some feathers?
Probably that one.
Right?
Right.
I mean, not for nothing. Is any other CEO of any other major OEM moving the needle for sales of their individual product the way in which Elon does with Tesla? Like, no. Is Joe, probably not a Ford, but CEO, like, is he moving the needle? Is the GM?
Right. No, I think Jim Farley is who you're thinking of.
Yeah. Well, no. My point is that it's like most people. If you ask who's the CEO of Tesla, the overwhelming majority of the population is going to know that. You ask them who's the CEO of Honda, and they're going to say, Mr. Honda, which may actually be true. Still, I don't know. But the point of the matter is like.
Yeah. No. I know what you mean. Yeah. It's frustrating to me because it's setting a precedent, right, for other companies that basically just shit on consumers, which is what Tesla does.
Right, but if you don't, the thing is that other companies that try to do this won't survive. They don't have that built-in sort of cult. Right? Let me put it to you this way, right?
Sure.
Let's just say, perfect example. Jaguar completely changes its ethos. You wanted a Jaguar F-Type R for almost as long as your kids have been alive.
Pretty much, yeah. Actually, before that,
they completely changed their ethos to this electric sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, basically an all electric future. And that to you is enough to say, I don't know if I want that old car that has nothing to do with new Jaguar, right? So right. If, let's just say, hypothetically, Ford came along and is like, Tesla seems to be making a shit ton of money by saying fuck you to customers. Let's give that a try. Guess what? Honda sales, Toyota sales, GM sales will spike. Because there's nobody else in the Tesla sort of range that has the same allure. I mean, look at Lucid. For all intents and purposes, Lucid is Tesla without the circus that goes along with it. But they're
Right.
nowhere near the market share. Like the Tesla, what is it? The Lucid Air is effectively a Model S that's actually logically thought out. That has no hype behind it. That doesn't need like, yeah, it's cool with all the Spaceballs references. Like that's funny, haha. At the end of the day, that's not going to really do much for me going to and from work using this as I don't know a car.
Right.
Right? They've just been, but they haven't been able to get because they don't have that sort of. It's almost what's. There's another thing in marketing, right? Where if you try to market a product to everyone, you will fail. If you have half the people hate you and half the people love you, you will be a significant success. Why? Because people are talking about you, and the people who hate you are going to go hard to prove why they're right. And the people who like you are going to become even more loyal to the product.
Yeah.
And I don't think any other OEM has that.
No, I would agree. I would agree with that.
So,
I mean, they are the cultiest. They are the cultiest OEM by a wide margin.
So the whole idea that that's all it takes to roll back the odometer, they didn't just make a big oopsie. They just advertised to the world that if you want to sell your Cybertruck and have the odometer read something completely different, all you have to do is just swap it out, goose the mechanic a couple bucks to say, hey, look, we got this module out of one that says it has 9,000 miles. I have 50. Just swap them over. Don't change the odometer, and we'll just be good. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yep.
So,
I mean, you're not wrong. You're really not wrong. I mean, it's disconcerting at best that this could happen on a modern car. Honestly.
right. And again, I'm not saying Tesla is without blame. I am simply saying that the consumers are allowing it.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Tesla owners don't seem to give a crap. I see Cybertrucks everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, same. They don't care. They don't care. Which is funny because it just speaks volumes as to like how stupid consumers are, honestly. Like, yes, we're going to continue to support this company that doesn't really give two flying Fs about its consumers. Cool. Good job voting with your money. I mean, there's like 8 other electric trucks I'd rather have. And I'm not even sure that there are 8 at this point.
I mean, not for nothing, just from a pure, like the tech in the Cybertruck is cool with how they're doing with the voltage and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the idea that they're pushing sort of the boundaries of technology and everything, cool. Or what have you. But at the end of the day, like, here's the other thing, right? Like, people who are buying the Cybertruck aren't buying it because they need a pickup truck. They're just not. It's basic. No. It's almost the Lamborghini Countach of our day. Looks like nothing else, is fundamentally flawed for what it is not good. Like, not good in a sense that it's not like there are better tools for the job, but you look cool in it.
Yeah.
Depending on who's looking at you.
I was gonna say, yeah, I don't think anyone driving a Cybertruck looks cool, but there are people that do think that. And look, I'm also not saying that other OEMs are not without fault. Like many other OEMs don't really care about their consumers in a lot. They just care about their money, which is that's how big businesses work. But
we know that we
right.
Elon has somehow tricked these people into thinking that they are somehow special. Right.
Right.
And newsflash, if you're watching this, because we're getting a decent amount of new viewers over on the Tube of Views.
Nice. Hello, you Tube of Views people. Thank you for joining. You guys rule.
Like, it's just, like I said, if you think Mr. Chevrolet gives 2 fucks about you when you buy a new Corvette or a Spark or a Silverado, you're fooling yourself, right?
Yeah.
But people have that understanding going in, right? People who buy Teslas almost have this thought process of, I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to get. We have Max Wintack over on YouTube. Going back to what we were talking.
That is an outstanding name, by the way.
Max Wintack. New Bond villain. The Slate Truck is sweet. Who gives a shit about a radio? I just want a cheap truck that I can throw my dirt bike in the back of. Honestly, I think a lot of people have that same thought.
Yeah.
You know, get what you want, not what you don't. And I think regardless of how the financials play out with it, that giving the consumer I'm guessing they are, but they are giving the consumer the idea that they have final say on the price, that they're not getting something they don't need. Now, the way they price these options or accessories and stuff could be on a bit of a ludicrous side. And at the end of the day, they're giving a customer the illusion that they have the final say on the price, right? But I mean, people are obviously, if you're watching this, you don't fall into this category. You're obviously a highly intelligent human person. But most people are dumb. Yeah. Most people are really dumb. Perfect example of this. I forget what the decade it was. It was a long time ago. Burger King comes out with the 3rd pounder hamburger because it's bigger than McDonald's quarter pounder. It was an abject failure because 50% of the population thought a 3rd pounder was smaller than a quarter pounder.
That's a real thing. That is an actual real thing that happened. Yeah.
So it's like,
what's that old saying? People are very dumb. A person is very smart.
Yeah.
Because when
individuals are smart, people are dumb. Yeah, well, it's the hive mentality.
Right, it's the hive mentality. It's like you drop a person in the woods alone, they're going to try to survive. You drop a bunch of people in the woods with nothing, they will be at each other's throats within 24 hours. It's just how it works. People are dumb. Anyway, that moves us on to our next topic, which also corresponds to this nice chain of events that we've been talking about. Talked about Slate, new car company. Talked about Tesla being hilariously bad at some of their things. And now we have an established company in the absolute proverbial toilet in Nissan. Nissan, I don't know how much you clicked into any of these links that I sent you, Chad, but did you by any chance happen to see what Nissan's net loss was last year?
It started with a B, as in boy.
Yeah, sure did. $4.5 billion with a B.
And they didn't want Honda.
Yeah. That's actually thank you. Literally the first point I was going to bring up. Nissan lost $4.5 billion last year. They were talking with Honda to be a joint venture, and they said no. And you lost $4.5 billion last year. Nissan as a company, fucked. It really is. Like if they cannot get their act together in that sense to partner with one of the most successful car companies in history, and they're losing $4.5 billion, not to mention the 20,000 jobs that they are cutting, then I have a zero sympathy for you. Like it is failure on every single corporate level down to the tires they put on the car. And some Nissans are still quite good vehicles, but because of how poorly managed the company is right now, I would have zero confidence in buying one at all.
They have a severe marketing problem.
They have a severe everything problem.
Well,
marketing,
let me look at it this
leadership, everything.
Here's the thing, right? They have an old fleet. Regardless of if you go out and buy a 2025. That car that you are getting is old. Now, I think they're developing a brand new Maxima. Ooh. That won't come out until 2030. Like, that'll save the company. Good job. Why even bother announcing it?
Right.
But everyone who knows a thing or two about the automotive industry knows that Nissan is old. They know that basically when they go in and they're buying a brand spanking new Murano, tech-wise or feel-wise or what have you, fuel economy-wise, like all the things, it's almost damn near 10 years old. Yes, it's a new car, right? But it's old. And people are like, I want the latest and greatest, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. They should have 100% leaned into that. It's tested, tried and true, and really play into the, hey, you can go out here and have this brand new Cybertruck that's going to automatically reset the odometer every time you take it in for a service. Or you can have our cars. There are X amount of Nissans were sold 10 years ago, and 90% of them are still on the road, or whatever the number actually is, right? Like, all this stuff. None of that stuff. They keep passing the shit off as new, and the consumer's like, I'm not that dumb.
Right.
I'm not. And I have a buddy of mine who actually sells Nissans and stuff like that. And most of the people that he has coming in are basically like, yeah, Nissan's a little bit more affordable. Unless you look up the Nismo Z, and you're like, I'm sorry, you want to charge me how much for a chassis that's 20 years old and an engine that's over 10?
Yeah.
And a transmission you've been using since the Reagan administration? Okay, the CD009 is not that old, but you get the idea. Bush was in office when that thing was developed. Not sure which one, but like they could have easily been, okay, we're going to be economy of scale. We're going to have a compact car. We're going to have a mid-size SUV. We're going to have the pickup. Because Nissan did small pickup trucks pretty damn good. It's just they sort of stopped. They had a few issues with the Frontier and are like, fuck it. Taco wins. We're just going to be the cheaper alternative and not really pump our stuff up.
Yeah.
You know, the Titan was a pretty decent truck that, again, is less. They're not leaning. They're taking the exact opposite. They should have taken the exact same route like a Kia took and Hyundai took when they were struggling. But they were on the up, right? When Hyundai and Nissan were on the up, they're like, look, our cars are better than ever, but you still don't trust us. So they're going to be the least expensive option. We're going to give you a warranty that will outlast probably your ownership of the car. So you don't have to worry about the powertrain, the big ticket stuff. And they're like, go out. We stand by our product. We are not going to lose money on this. That's what Nissan could have done. It's not like they made any great technological strides. It's just their shit's old. But guess what happens when something's in service for a long time? You figure out what the fuck goes wrong. And you fix it.
Yeah.
And then you throw in the Honda shit. And they're like, we don't want to be rebadged Hondas. Shut up and be a rebadged Honda.
Why would you not want to be a rebadged Honda? What's that one line from Entourage where, Jeremy Piven, they're at the basket. It's like one of the early seasons. And Jeremy Piven's there with, what's his face? Vince and Eric. And, they were having a conversation about being movie stars. And Vince, the main character, just goes, I just don't want to be typecast. And Jeremy Piven's pointing around the Lakers court. He's just like, Tobey Maguire, blah, 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 Leo DiCaprio, blah, blah, blah. You know what? They're typecast as rich guys. It's like, that's the same thing here with Nissan. Why would you not want to be rebadged Hondas? They're going to sell out because they're reliable. They're better cars. And you won't have a fleet that's 100 years old that's not a Porsche 911 that just keeps getting better and better. Like,
well, here's the thing. Better to be a rebadged Honda than be a... You guys remember Nissan? Man, they made some great cars. Shame they're not with us anymore.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and you know what? There's a rebadged Supra. And guess what? Toyota got a lot of shit for it. You know what else Toyota is also still selling? Supras. They got a lot of shit for it, but guess what? People are still buying them.
And that goes back to their marketing and being so freaking stupid. They have an $80,000 Nismo Z that is a Supra competitor. It's not. Guess what? You're using old Nissan parts. Toyota's over there using new BMW parts.
Yep.
There's a slight difference. And people know that. So when the prices are comparable, you look like a jackass. I don't want to sit here and have them here talk about research and development and all this other sort of stuff. It cost them 5 cents to develop the new Z. I am thrilled that it exists. It is a really nice car. It is fantastic. But it didn't cost them nothing.
Right.
I just... When you're losing almost $5 billion and you can't look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I don't think this is working. What can we do differently? And like we talked about with the Honda and Nissan merger when they were back, in the heavy petting phase.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I haven't heard that term in like 20 years, and I'm definitely going to be using that for a while. That was such a good line. God damn.
Thank you.
But you're right. That's exactly what it was. They were over jeans petting.
We talked about what would Nissan become, and it's like I think there's a place for a Z car. There's a place for the front. There's a place for a jointly developed Frontier / whatever the fuck the Honda pickup truck is.
Ridgeline.
And there's a place for the Titan, right? The Z fills in the front engine rear drive sports car that Honda doesn't have. The Frontier is arguably a better small truck than the Ridgeline, even though the Ridgeline probably is better. But like if you sort of kind of combined or had one or the other, you made them. Long and short of it is if you have like that sort of lineage, okay, Honda's not doing that. All right, the Frontier can still be the compact, body on frame pickup truck that people seem to want. And then the Ridgeline can get smaller and kind of become a Maverick competitor, or what have you. The Titan full-size pickup truck. If you're selling stuff in America and you're not really doing that, that's another thing. You don't have to overdevelop. You have the VK56. It is a great engine. Slap it in there. Go talk to someone over at and get a 10-speed transmission. I'm sure Ford and Chevy would love to sell you theirs. Ford and Chevy came together to jointly develop a 10-speed transmission. Just need you to wrap your heads around that. Ford
Chevy. And Chevy.
Right? And now you have
you
Nissan.
Didn't want to be Hondas.
And Nissan now has their brand identity, right? Nissan's always sort of been like that off-road thing. Then Nissan could have like an Xterra or a Pathfinder that's sort of the more rough and tumble version of Honda, CR, HR, HI, V, whatever vehicle. And yeah, sprinkle in a crossover just because you need a crossover.
Yeah, because they sell the shit out of them.
And that could be, again, you've kept your brand identity and you've kept your brand. You're not dead.
Yeah. What was something Datsun something.
Well, that's how dumb Nissan is. They have been dumb going back to like the 80s and 70s. Which killed the second generation Z car because they're like, hey, we did this Datsun thing so you wouldn't think it was a Nissan and think it was from Japan. Meanwhile, it was being sold at Nissan at any rate. And they had
wasn't the logo the rising sun flag for a while?
It is. They literally changed the name with the same logo.
Right.
And then
Christ.
You had the Datsun 240, and then I think it was the 260Z came out under the Nissan thing. It was like, wait a minute, does Datsun go under? Is it bad? Are they bit? Consumers freaked the fuck out, and it didn't sell. Great car, didn't sell.
Right.
Chevy love is the GOAT. Glad you say that.
Oh man, yeah. So too long, didn't read. Nissan is not good.
They're not intelligent.
Also, I don't know if you can see this, but I seem to have a cursor above my head. Do you see that blinking up near the spring of my garage right here.
Yes, totally.
I was like, what's on my wall? That's not on my wall.
Note to self: schedule random shifting lanes drug tests. Immediate effect.
No, but
Immediately.
do you not see this or no?
Do I not see what? Like the shadow of your garage posts on your screen?
No. Oh my God. You don't. There's literally like a cursor on my screen. Hang on. Yeah, there's a cursor, like a not a mouse cursor, but like where you would type something in. Does anyone else see this in chat? Hang on, I'll send you a screenshot because it's now like, oh wait, now it's gone. Oh wait, now it's there. What's happening? Okay. All right. I have captured it. There is video evidence. Well, video. I mean photographic evidence.
Yes, of
Sending it
course
to you
there
in chat.
is. Of course, you're
All
you're
right.
doing great, Greg. Keep looking at it. Yeah.
So if you see right above my head, I just sent you the picture. There's literally like what looks like my what I thought you were doing was queuing up like a text to be like, Greg is dumb, like you put over me sometimes. That's why I was just like,
Oh, you're not even watching. It's not there in stream.
yeah. Oh, okay. So I'm just looking at Streamlabs right now on my computer, and then I got Stream up on my phone.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not there. Stop. Like,
It just like I was like so confused. I'm like, what the hell is on my wall? It's a wait. Why is it blinking? There's nothing. What is happening? Is this what a stroke is? Like, what's happening? Oh
am
my
I
god.
am I dying?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so going back to topics and things. Be in the cup, Gregson. No, no, Sean. That's how they get you. Um,
We were having
so
the nose torque conversation earlier.
no, so the last thing that I had on the docket was something that's just super near and dear to Chad's heart, which is a new crossover from Toyota. But it's the I gave you a link about the new RAV4, and there's only one.
Yeah, you want to talk about me not reading something?
Yeah, exactly. There's only one thing that's interesting about it is
Nothing.
they put out some like teasers about it, and there's one top down view, and it looks like the hood is going to be very similar to the Land Cruiser, which I think is cool because the new Land Cruiser's design is quite excellent. So I have mildly high hopes that this RAV4 could actually look pretty damn cool, because I'll be honest, and you can agree or disagree with me here. Toyota has absolutely smashed their truck design for the last 15 to 20 years.
And you're absolutely saying that the RAV4 is not a truck. I agree with you.
No, correct. It is not a truck. However, Forerunner, excellent looking vehicle. Tacoma, excellent looking vehicle. Land Cruiser, excellent looking vehicle. Sequoia, excellent looking vehicle. RAV4, traditionally, not an excellent looking vehicle. Maybe they've changed that, and that could be an interesting thing, because they sell the most RAV4s, and I'm wondering if they've purposefully made it way more bland than it rightfully should be, on purpose to sell more of them, because obviously the other stuff still sells and sells lots, but it doesn't really go with their design ethos anymore. So I'm curious to see if this RAV4 ends up looking like a baby Land Cruiser, which could be actually pretty awesome. I'll be honest. That would be very cool. And if it got a little bit more off-road prowess at the same time, that would be also very awesome. Because then you're looking at a crossover that's actually kind of mildly interesting, as opposed to just, oh, it's just going to be another thing that sells 400,000 units and yawn. Though the other point I was going to make is, because the RAV4 exists, they have other things that they can do, like the GR Corolla, the Supra slash Z4, the BRZ GT86 twins. So like, because they sell RAV4s, they can do fun things like this. Same thing with like the Porsche Cayenne, right? Because Porsche has a Cayenne, they're able to make the 918. Period. So I'm curious to see like what it will be. Not
Hey,
sure
did someone say something about the Chevy Love? Hey, glad you asked.
I mean, that is a very much more interesting topic.
Okay.
Let's be
All
honest.
seriousness, though. Look, if you can make a regular crossover look less, here's the bottom line, right? All crossovers have started to look the same.
Yep. Which is why I brought it up, because this has an opportunity to not do that.
You know, the fact that if you could start sparking some design to make them look not the same. W. And
Yeah.
to quote one of the best movie soundtracks of all time, that's about all I got to say about that.
Yeah, but that's all I had for news for the night. So done and dusted.
All right. Keep going.
Chad, tell me about your car. Why is it not with you?
Uh, Hold on. I'm just going to go through chat real quick.
Yeah, go for it. Oh, while you do that, I will be right back.
Max Wintack, attorney at law, goes, I love the way the new aviators look, but know nothing about their reliability. And 60,000 K plus kills it for me. I mean, Lincoln does a really good job with a lot of their styling stuff. They're basically just Fords but they do a great job of sort of hiding it in a lot of respects. But I mean, the biggest problem with most cars that you want, like look at Mustang prices, right? Like all that stuff it's just so high because inflation on cars has been so rampant over the last few years. So, but yeah, I could totally see 60K being like, I don't know if I want that for a fancy Ford. Andrew, thank you for the nice words, my dude. Max again asks, what's the deal with the 4Runner Tacoma? Why can't we get some decent gas mileage? I think it's the nature of the vehicle. You know, even with modern engines and stuff, you're still talking about a body on frame type of vehicle, which means it's going to weigh more, which means efficiency isn't going to be ideal. And it's almost like asking a turbocharged 4-cylinder in some cases to be good down low where a lot of these trucks live wasn't the best idea. You know, I'm not saying the old 6-cylinders were any great shakes, but like there is a case for a larger displacement engine being better suited for the job at hand, and economy showing it. But then again, most people who buy pickup trucks, they don't need pickup trucks. They're just cool. Andrew, I love the new Andrew. Bleh. No, I love the design of the new Land Cruiser. Same design for the new Lexus GX. Yeah, Toyota seems to be doing it. The new 4Runner with the 4-cylinder at the gas station. They look good, man. You know, the whole downsizing the engine, add turbocharger craze is a thing. And it's right for some vehicles, and it's not so right for others. Like, I don't... And at the end of the day, the majority of the people buying these vehicles are using them as just a regular, vehicle, and they're just accepting of the fact that this car doesn't. It's a truck. It's not supposed to get the great best gas mileage. It gets good enough gas mileage for me. You know, and as long as that car fits within the overall EPA whatever, as far as overall fleet, or what have you. The OEM is like, okay, people are still buying it. Good, let's move on. What am I looking at here? Nice one, Douglas. Well done, sir. Oh, shit. What did I do? Sean goes, bring back the big four bangers 2.3, 2.5, 2.7, etc. Hell, go to the 3.2 double over can 4. Why not? Um, I mean, here's the biggest thing. If you're going to use a four cylinder, you're going to have a big four cylinder. That big four cylinder is going to theoretically have to take the place of a six cylinder. Is it going to be as efficient as a six cylinder? I don't know. I cannot say. But with modern technology and the way you can manipulate fuel, manipulate timing, with how advanced these modern ECUs are, you can get pretty good gas mileage if you do it right. But you know, people want to put these undersized engines because they get great mass mileage when they're not on boost. Yeah, when they're cruising, when you still got to get up and go. And last time I checked, Newtonian physics are still a thing. So a body at rest wants to stay at rest. So Max goes, the Tacoma's way too big for a four-cylinder turbo. Agree. It's the same size as the old Tundras. I mean, that's the other thing. These big trucks are getting, or these trucks are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, what's the picture? It's like an F-150 next to an old Taco, and it's ridiculous. Let me see if I can find that. There's one that everyone uses, but there's one at a gas station or at a convenience store that was like everywhere, and now I can't find it. So it's gonna have to be, where was it? But what is it? The top of the wheel well on the Ford is higher than like the hood line. Sean goes, I mean, a 5-liter 4-cylinder would be funny. How do I put this? Yes, a big ass 4-cylinder, but like, in order for it to not be just like absurdly expensive, it would have to go in other stuff, right? Like, so like let me put it to you this way: the Thor engine made by Elmore, that is a 4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that makes a bazillion. Like, I think in drag racing trim it'll make 3,000 plus horsepower. That is a massive 4-cylinder, and like keeping the piston stable at those piston speeds that a modern engine runs at, you know, is a bit of a thing with big bore engines. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, we have 8-liter V8s, right? So like, it's not. Yeah, Max, I miss those tacos too. I mean, there was a minute where I was looking at those older ones as a not necessarily a daily, because if the weather's warm, I'll drive the Mustang anywhere as my daily. But the as far as like sort of the utilitarian one that weather is of no matter, I really wanted to get one of these. And then the pie in the sky, money no object thing would be to be like, I wonder if you could take like an 06, 07 4-wheel drive line and engine out of an old V8 4Runner, excuse me, and stuff it into one of these. Because I think it would be hella cool to put a 2UZ in one of these things. Because those things are, I mean, you're a rotating assembly and some headwork away from pretty decent power. But it's a cast iron block. I mean, shoot, even a 1UZ would be plenty. 300 horsepower, 300 pound foot would be plenty for one of those. And Greg,
Hello.
what's up, my dude?
I have returned.
We were talking about big bore 4 cylinders, the old taco, and how tacos and stuff now are huge. And I think Max, like out of nowhere, was like, "Hey, why doesn't Greg have a bigger turbo on his car?" I'm kidding, Max. I don't mean to put words in your mouth. It's a running inside joke here.
Meanwhile, Max is like, I didn't say that. The fuck's happening?
But Max, that's your one-way ticket to being accepted by all of the great people here in chat is to tell Greg he needs a bigger turbo.
Yes, because the car behind me, if you can't see, is a Volvo V60 Polestar. It's an inline 6 with a turbo on it. And Chad's running joke is, if you ever watched How I Met Your Mother, it's like, have you met Ted? Chad every week just goes, have you gotten a bigger turbo? And that's pretty much what it is. And the answer will always be no. Unless I hit lots of money and I can buy another car, in which case I will be throwing like $100,000 at this thing to make it absolutely biblically fast and stomp everything imaginable in a wagon, a Volvo wagon, which will have dart and sleeves and a turbo the size of the wheels.
All right, so Doug said he will finance your bigger turbo if you give him your smaller turbo. I may be paraphrasing here and have taken some artistic liberty with it.
I was just going to say, how truthful are these statements exactly?
He goes, his turbo is leaking oil. He could use your little turbo. So I'm guessing he'll take the little turbo. There might be an exchange of finances. Therefore, he's helping finance your bigger turbo. Ipso facto.
I mean, that's very sound logic and sound reasoning. Doug, I accept. Thank you for buying me my $75,000 turbo. And you can have mine.
What's 70? You said all in with everything, it's like $5,000, $4,000 to $5,000.
Oh, yeah, no, but if someone else is financing it, I'm very loose with other people's money.
Whoa, the heck was that?
What happened?
I don't know. I got a ridiculously loud beep in my ears, to which now I'm like, yep, definitely going to have tinnitus tonight.
Was it this?
No, it was like, oh no, it was Doug donating 100 stars for financing towards his turbo. It was the alert, which is supposed to play Mustang V8 noises.
That's amazing. And it basically just ruptured your eardrums. Cool.
And what annoys me even more is the tech support person when I was talking about collab cam and like making like it so you can see both of us and I can hear Greg and he can hear me and all this other sort of stuff. They were talking about the alert noises being the correct volume. That alert hasn't popped up ever.
Oh my god.
From an audio standpoint. Ever.
Oh my god. Oh. That's amazing.
But at any rate, I will be right back.
At any rate. Yes. Oh, have I gained all of the screen now? Is it just me?
Yes, but why is this not?
Hello. It's only me now. There is no more Chad. Only Volvo.
Doug goes, $100. Did you fix it? No.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's the only reason to do it. Is to just blast Chad's ears out. Here's another 100 stars. Chad just becomes deaf by the end of the stream. Amazing. Thank you for the stars, Doug. Appreciate it. We will be using those $2 towards my new turbo.
I wouldn't say that because he's made a significant amount of donations towards said turbo.
That's true. That is true. Also, we're getting some good views on YouTube tonight. What's up, YouTube? Carrying the stream this time. Let's go. I'm seeing 10 people watching on YouTube, 4 on Facebook. Facebook slacking tonight. Facebook slacking. YouTube is the champ tonight. Let's go. I love it. So with Chad being gone now officially, because I see him taking his headphones off. He was there for a hot second. Has anyone had any issues with the stream tonight? Because that's sort of my biggest question. Because for anyone that hasn't watched this stream a lot, and if you're new here, if you are, good job. You are smart individuals. If you haven't, we used to stream through Skype, and I had always had this like half conspiracy theory that Skype was like it wasn't like helping us in the sense of like getting more viewers and stuff. So I don't know if like frame rates were going weird or what have you. I don't know, but we're not streaming through Skype anymore because Skype is literally dying. It's going away. I think it was like May 16th was the date. Microsoft is literally killing Skype, and it's all just going to Teams now. We tried to stream through Teams, and it was a biblical failure. Didn't work. So what we use this software called Streamlabs, and that's basically the OBS backend that Chad works on and stuff like that. So I'm curious as to if you have had any like issues with the stream at all, sound-wise, visual-wise. Has there been any weird blips? Max over on YouTube saying looks pretty clear since I've been here. Thank you. That's great. Tooth in M9 paste. I don't know why that made me laugh. It's a great username. The video chat service. Yes, the video chat service, Skype, gone. So it's Zoom is Max. You're right. Zoom is good. That's actually what I use at work. So I've only been on Zoom or Teams at work at my regular job, and both of those have worked pretty well. Skype has been fine, and there was just a really easy way for us to do this stream through Skype. That's the whole reason why we had been doing it through that. So now that that's gone, we've had to do this workaround, and most of it is Chad. I'm just here to be the pretty face, even though I'm not. But he's done all of the work. So like huge kudos and credit to Chad in that sense, and been working on the back end for all of this. So like doing it through Skype was just really easy because there was a way for Skype to it was like plug and play, right? Where now this, like what I did tonight is he sent me like a link to like go in through the Streamlabs software. And now I'm on Chrome with with just the two of us here. And then you guys are seeing chat, the stream stuff, the cool visual that when he's gone, you're seeing that like, AI Volvo / Mustang scrolling across the screen. Like I don't see that on the back end, but you guys do, and that's the important thing. So with all that said, I'm glad that everything is sort of worked out. I'm going to hop over to Facebook really quick and double check. Tooth and M9 paste. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Oh my God, I used to play with my friends before Discord on Skype. Yeah, Discord's another one. Like you can stream through Discord, which is cool. Let's just see. I'm just hopping over to Facebook to check. Anyone else saying anything over here? We need to do a live from Carlisle. That would be great. Unfortunately, I will not be at Carlisle this year, and I think Chad's a maybe. So I'm going to have to wait till next year. This is my first year missing Carlisle in 6 years, I think. So it's a bummer, unfortunately, but I do have to. Sean said, you have frozen a few times, typically when you with your mouth open. That's not great. Some excellent meme fodder there. Doug, I used Skype when I was in Iraq as my phone home in 2009, but I don't think I've used it since. It's actually kind of cool. Yeah, so no, I'm glad to hear that it's been a relatively smooth stream then for you guys, which is great. Which is the whole point. Like we want to make it as easy and seamless and not laggy as possible for you. So I mean, we're an hour and a half in now, and we still got 15 to 20 viewers across both YouTube and Facebook. I mean, that's a rousing success in my opinion. So that's good. I'm glad. We're going to keep doing it this way, and then we'll just refine it over time, and I will become less boom tube.
Yeah, and I mean,
We'll
also,
figure it out.
I'm gonna shame Greg into a more permanent studio, so to speak. The goal is, so not to get too deep into it, but the goal is at some point to I will be moving in the short term. One of one of the things on the new house is a pretty decent sized space for me to have like an office and what's it called? Oh, I should probably just do that. There we go. Um, is to have like an actual studio where I can set up my secondary PC as sort of the studio PC and blah 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 technical terms. Magic happens and it appears on your screens via the mythical internet. Um, and is to have like a studio space where Greg and I don't come to you via a conference call. Like Greg is actually sitting next to me, so like when he says something
Yes.
silly like "I'm not putting a bigger turbo on my car," I can literally like reach across and Gibbs slap him on the back of the head.
Yes, which will be awesome. And then the biggest thing is to figure out like camera angles. But I think that there's ways to do that in the software where it just auto like focuses on the person talking. So, and I think either hardware or software can like figure that out, which will be great because then you guys will get like an actual like live podcast experience, which I think is kind of cool, quite frankly. So we're working on that. That's what your donations go towards is
Improving
well,
improving the show
improving the show. So like
and our day-to-day operations.
like I got this mic. Would never have had that without like you guys donating and being able to like support the stream.
The mic that makes Greg sound like he's a warehouse technician.
Well, right now, not before. It was much better before, but we got to figure that out.
I honestly think what it is, now I've had a second to think about it. And Gerardo, I see your comment, and you've said a magical word that's good. So I'll get to that in just 1 second. But I think what it was is Skype had like echo elimination and like built into its software, whereas the Streamlabs thing is great. And like if we were in more of a studio, but Greg is literally in a garage, so there's not even like one of his walls is sheetrocked. If so,
no, they're
hard
all sheetrock. It's literally just there's nothing in here.
but it's all hard surfaces.
Yes, exactly.
So we either need to figure out a way to get to eliminate that via Greg has the mic go to an input and then a software solution for it, or we just in the middle of the night as a squad, shift squad assemble, go to Greg's house and just install sound deadening on his entire garage.
But it has to be automotive themed. So I want what's the sound deadening thing you put in cars?
Dynamat?
Dynamat. Yeah, we're just gonna line my garage with Dynamat. Let's bad noises keeps bad noises out, good noises in.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So I just want to cover a couple because chat's been crazy active. That's awesome, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Max goes, "You guys need a soundboard." Yes, I do.
Yes, we do.
I wish it
badly.
was. I wish there was a way I could integrate my Discord soundboard here. Although I'd have to change some of the stuff because it's more Call of Duty based in there. But it's
you could just record them individually and upload them as individual WAV files.
oh, I have all of the audio files. It's just like I could. What I need is a Stream Deck where I just press a button. Everything I do now is mouse and keyboard, and I tried doing the hotkeys. Problem with the hotkeys is I'll go Google something, and the next thing you know, I'm on a scene that's like Greg and Chad disappeared, or we're just staring at a graphic, or it's like it's random and stuff. So like, but yeah. So Gerardo over on YouTube did mention one of my dream builds, which is a 510. and like a modernized take on a 510 with a pissed off engine is one of my dream builds. So like, and like not for nothing, like if we're going back to like Nissan, having something like that, as he mentions it as like a 2 Series competitor, which okay, from like the 3-box design makes a lot of sense. If you had a Datsun 510 that was a BRZ slash Miata competitor, like they had like a rendering of one years ago that was in Roman numerals for 510, but like if you had that,
I mean,
um,
it sounds awesome.
you know,
Lightweight car, not a shit ton of power, enough power to be still insanely crazy, but also like surprise basically everyone. Yeah. What was the one? What was your original thought was your original one was 510 with a K20 swap with K24 heads.
basically
Or
a pissed
basically
off
like a K
K
motor that
series.
could rev to like 9,000 or
Yeah,
9,500.
I mean,
Yeah,
here's
like
the.
that's a sick idea actually. Like,
I mean,
yeah,
hell yeah. I mean, most of like there's a reason why case like so there's a company called that originally was K Swap Miata or K Miata. So you don't have to be you know, a mathlete to figure out what the hell happened there. K
yeah.
swapping Miatas. And they've expanded to K swapping, having kits for K swapping BRZ, FRSs, whatever the heck the Toy Brew wants to be called tomorrow. And stuff. Like, there's a reason for all of that. Like, people like that high revving NA. It doesn't have to be a shit ton of horsepower. Like,
Yeah,
260 is
right.
plenty. But, like, people
Yep.
like that sort of stuff. And, like, but, like, if we're looking at it from a Nissan perspective, like, oh no, we could have partnered with Honda. What does Honda make?
Great stuff.
Oh, Honda, you used to make the K series, didn't you? Like,
Yup. Nissan's just dumb.
yeah.
Period.
So, yeah, it is what it is. But like, yeah, that's so like that has morphed into me getting an old 510 chassis. There's ways of putting like bolting modern-ish suspension to it. I think there's like kits for like 240 Nissan, like the Nissan 240 suspension in there, which, as any drifter will tell you, there's an abundance of aftermarket options there. But like the way my brain goes, like, look, I can't afford this, so might as well make it as expensive as I possibly can. And I was like, okay, take a 510, send it to Roadster Shop, have them make a chassis where I could literally bolt any suspension and brakes or whatever I want to it. Have them send it back, put in whatever engine happens to be tickling my fancy at that particular moment in time. Like, and it's a lot, as chat will tell you, it changes a lot. It started with the K motor. Then it was like, hey, wonder if we could take a 2.5 liter or even the 2.4 out of the C30 slash S40 slash V50, build it NA, have it have a pretty high red line and scream. Like, that could be pretty cool. And then I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna do anything, fuck it. I want the Hayabusa V8.
I mean, who doesn't want a Hayabusa V8? Quite honestly.
Yeah, and then like, of course, I did a video recently on the Callaway V16 that was 4 Yamaha motorcycle engines. Like,
Yeah, that's insane.
so like, I want to touch on Andrew's point because he's mentioned it a couple times on Greg's hoodie. Unfortunately, we had to take those down
Yes.
because we were using we did not label them correctly, and we were running afoul. So they're no longer up on like our spring store. We have 2
Yeah.
merch sites because we like inefficiency when it comes to merch.
The spring store basically doesn't work anymore. All those listings lapsed essentially because we opened the new one and that was just better.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. Like I could literally,
Yeah.
but to that point, where was I? Sean goes, what do I need to do to convince you guys to put Timmy on a t-shirt? Make it simple. And what I mean by that
Yes.
is that, yeah, we could take a picture of your car.
Yes.
We could put it on a t-shirt.
Simple.
There's just too much going on for the print. In like an actual photo. But if you could somehow make it dumbed down, more of like an anime style or cartoon style, or just to where it's not like an actual image. And I know we've thrown like our faces on joke T-shirts and stuff, but like I'd want to do the car justice. That sort of a thing. Now AI will kind of do some of that stuff, so like you could go on some sites and have them turn something, but with cars, it's a little wonky. It's like hands with AI. AI for whatever reason doesn't like hands. That's usually the first way you can decipher whether or not an image has either been created by AI or enhanced or touched up by AI, is to look at the hands.
Yeah.
But there's no reason that we can't do it as like a limited run of, a supporter ride of the month, right?
Right.
Doug goes, the cat driving the P2 Volvo gets more compliments than most of the dumb shirts I own. We need a cat driving Timmy. And then Max tells Greg, throw some egg crates in the back for that. Doug had some things about multiple cameras. We'll definitely be in touch. Max, the little GR86s are so cool. Why the fuck would you not make a badass Corolla or a badass GR86 to go along with it? I mean, that's sort of the thing. The problem with those cars is the reason why the GR86 and the BRZ can exist is that the expense of making or developing that car and updating it every year and doing it yada 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 is that those costs are amortized over two companies essentially, so they can withstand it. A company like Nissan, they just need to make a thing that's going to sell. They need to make that thing. They need to make that Cayenne that made a shit ton of money for Porsche to where they could do fun shit with other cars, like, or they partner with Honda and like then Honda's like, okay, we can do kind of a cool little thing here. Like, imagine if Honda's decided like, okay, well, we're kind of working on this modern take on the S2000. What if that chassis was shared and the cheaper version was the Nissan, right?
Yeah.
A new 510. Sean, the glorious everlasting J
not a
series.
bad
Good
idea.
God, that motor has been around for a bit. It's literally a 28-year-old engine. Took Honda 20 years to give the J series a second cam. I mean, they actually had the CEO of Honda or their famous test driver or whoever it was legitimately had to put his foot down to get the NSX a second or four cams basically. But if Honda's like, hey, it works, it makes our power goals, it makes our efficiency goals, we're not going to make it more expensive if we don't have to.
Right.
Gerardo, reasons why Suzuki never made it years ago. I had a Swift GT with a B18 C5, and oh my god, yeah, that sounds like an absolute riot. Honda Type R and Tigger Type S. I personally fall into the Type S category. I like the way that looks a lot better. I like the interior a little bit more. But with the current variations of both, the Type R is not a bad option. The original not the original Type R, but like the generation prior to the one we have now, in my opinion, was just way too ugly.
Yeah, agree.
Andrew, I used to have a TL that had a 3.2 V6 with it was a 2000 and 2002 Accord that had the 3.0 V6. It had it for 9 years, ran the heck out of it, got 320,000 miles on it before it wrecked and got junked. Man, Honda makes good not to beat that drum. Honda makes good stuff, and if you take care of it, it'll last.
Yep. I owned a 2006 Accord. Still ticking.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
And then you sold it for the speaking of eggs.
The Subi hatchback egg. Yes.
And then Gerardo, I'm a huge Suzuki fan, but their board at Suzuki, their average age is 200 years old, and old as hell. The Suzuki SX4 all-wheel drive and turbo, they've made some pretty cool and interesting stuff. It's just, number one, you have the board problems like you mentioned, and number two, it's trying to get a foothold in America where you have so many more established brands requires some pretty incredible marketing creativity, which an older company is not going to do. You know, if they like took the liquid death approach to marketing those cars, they might have gotten a little bit better foothold. Sean, I'll get working on a simple image for Timmy tomorrow. There you go. And Andrew might get another shirt or hoodie made for the S80 one day. And then Max, to Andrew's point, those 2002 Acura TLs were badass. 3.2 was quick. Those three, the TLSs was something I looked at for a long time because they are such cool cars.
Yeah, and they're sleepers too. They're friggin' quick.
And they were right in that sweet spot when Acura made cars that were exciting enough to look at, but not over the top. Honda in general at that time.
Yeah.
And then as opposed to like more modern Acuras, which got more and more boring. Or they're like, no, it's a new design. The grille is all chrome this time. No. Okay. But people buy them. And then Sean ends it with both Suzuki and Isuzu got screwed in the U.S. market. There is a threshold of OEMs in the United States market, and every so often there is a culling that trims it down.
Yep.
Yeah, to your point, it could have been a Consumer Report and lobbyists, but look, all you have to do is look at it, right? We had the great General Motors culling of whatever the fuck it was, 2010, that robbed us of a Pontiac G8 El Camino thing that apparently was definitely happening before Pontiac went bye-bye. But like Pontiac, Saturn, Oldsmobile, getting the can. I understand the recession had, but like you see these kind of market corrections where OEMs, there's only enough room for, and there's only so many buyers, right? So like you might sit here and think you have the next Corolla competitor. Okay. And you can make a pretty big dent into it, but that market is only so big.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. You're right, Doug. Always was recession, but like the point I'm making is that if you go back and you look at these manufacturers over time, just some of them go away, and nobody really thought Pontiac would be in that boat, but they were. So, and then the last thing I'll say about that, and I think that's kind of a good place to wrap, because it's a little later than usual, and even though we have Greg.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was almost 11:20. Damn.
Honda Motors with the right resonator and right mindset to exhaust sound epic, and V6s when done correctly can sound insane. And to your point, Stellantis is about to die without the Charger and Challenger. While the enthusiast in me says you're absolutely right, the adult / and I'm not saying the comments like childish or whatever, but like that idea of the fact that holy shit, when did I mature, kind of a thing, says that the mentality that led to the Charger Challenger becoming an EV / turbocharged straight six, that mentality and that gross misunderstanding of the market is what will kill Stellantis, not necessarily the fact that they got rid of our beloved muscle cars, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
To the fact that they were going to sit here and take Ram, which was doing this with the old school Gen 3 Hemi, which had its faults, it was not a perfect engine, and say, no, people will buy a straight six. What's that? Ford tried it, and push comes to shove, people paid more for the V8 and didn't like the EcoBoost 6-cylinder. Yeah, but it wasn't a straight six. Ours is better. No, it isn't. That mindset of not understanding who buys the cars you're making. It's almost like the French cars have been in that same boat for decades. And somehow
Pretty much.
But at any rate, Sean goes, I think Isuzu and Suzuki would go great now with smaller off-roaders that have less tech and lower costs. Yes, but again, you're now entering a even more niche market. You're now entering a market now that is pretty small for a small off-roader.
Exactly. That's the problem. You need sales to be able to actually do the cool shit.
And not for nothing, but if I was to go and ask Greg, I go, look, Greg, you have a certain budget. You need a crossover to replace what Kate has. What are you buying? Chances are it's going to be a Honda, Hyundai, or a Kia, if I had to guess.
Yep, that's accurate.
Now, how do you get into that? Kia and Hyundai got into that market. Genesis has gotten into the... How did they do that? Well, it took decades in a not swamped.
Yeah. Shit tons of money and decades.
You know, and again, a belief in their vehicles to where they could offer the industry's best warranty.
Right. Exactly.
You know. But, guys, you've been awesome tonight. Thank you, everyone.
Pause to chat. Chat wins the evening.
To all the OGs, your Seans, your Andrews, your Dougs, your Anthonys, Steve, all those, thank you again, guys, for your continued support. But again, Andrew, thank you so much for your comments and the really kind words and everything like that. Then you have Max, Gerardo, and everyone else over on the YouTube side of things. Thank you so much. This stream looked like it was chalked when we were having technical issues, and it arguably has become one of our better ones.
Yeah.
And I did not have high hopes given the topics at hand. So, I'll be real.
I'll keep bringing the stupid topics for us to argue about. It'd be great.
Greg just sent me the list of topics, and I was like, huh. All right.
There's literally nothing else out there, guys. There's car news. It's May. Nothing is happening right now. Once the summer hits, we'll get more car news, and into the fall, we'll get like new car news. Right now, it's nothing. It's just barren. There's no new cars right now. Like new car seasons later, we'll get more cool stuff.
But I'm scrolling through, and I'm like, oh, the Slate. That's kind of a buzz topic at this point.
Yeah.
Tesla doing Tesla things. Okay, the new RAV4.
There's nothing really else out there.
I mean, Di Tomaso's apparently releasing a new Pantera, but hey, let's go with the new RAV4.
They've been saying that for like 50 years. I will believe it when I see it.
But, at any rate.
That's a topic for next week.
Yes. But again, thank you to everyone. We appreciate the hell out of you guys. We'll hopefully be back next week with the two of us, even, and then hopefully we'll figure out Echo Chamber Greg. But let's face it, this has been one of our more successful YouTube streams, so fuck it, we might just leave it.
BoomTube me stays.
Yes, well, maybe we'll get some royalty-free synthwave music to go on with behind Greg as background music.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but to echo what Chad said, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it.